Accompanying the Young Kids Awakening banner, we have the Young Exalt Tempest Trials, scoring the maximum 50,000 points for 42 orbs, 11,000 feathers, and 80 sacred coins. This month, we have Ephemera 4 divine codes and a change in rewards from the norm. Because last month was the first time we only had an emblem hero debuting instead of a legendary or mythic blessing, we are getting 20 extra normal 5 divine codes. For Sacred Seals, we got Gold Beast and Pegasus Flight. The reward unit is going to be Young Frederick, and you can get a 4-star and 5-star copy. We'll talk about it more later on. Our first new Sacred Seal is Gold Beast. Beast emblem buffing skill that grants +4 attack and speed to allied beast units within 2 spaces. Gold Beast is the last beast emblem buff in the set for Sacred Seals. The C skill version has only ever been on regular cadence, so not exactly easy to stack. If you have multiple beast units, then it can be an okay option for supportive units like maybe the Heron Dancers. You don't need to upgrade this seal, so no harm just having it. I still feel like they could reintroduce class emblem buffs one day, like the only C skill that can give multiple allies 2+6 field buffs are those Honed and Fortified team buffs. Maybe Beast and Dragons could consolidate into one group. Now, next up we have an unusual addition with Pegasus Flight 3. This beast skill is usable by Sword, Lance, and Axe Flyers. At start of combat, if unit has 1 in speed, then the foe speed -7, then inflict attack and defense debuffs in combat, equal to 50% of the defensive team res stats before combat. Pegasus Flight has always been extremely niche because it requires flat speed and flat res checks. You can use still water, but that tanks your defense stat, and lower physical bulk generally isn't that great for the melee flying users. You can technically stack Pegasus Flight as a seal with the B-skill versions. It's now in the demo pool. For the speed check, you get a 7-point advantage, which is nice. For the res comparison though, you're gonna need 14 or more res to get the max -7 attack and defense debuffs. Typically, Pegasus Flight just isn't that enticing to be a common B skill, and unfortunately with the introduction of Wyvern Rift, the devs don't seem to think too highly of Pegasus Flight 4 either. As a Sacred Seal, there is some potential because attack debuffs could be seen as getting both extra defense and res. Let's compare to last month's attack and defense clash. If you or the enemy were to move a single space to attack, then clash gets +6 attack and defense, move further for +7 or +8. That's a decent amount of stats for a fairly easy to work around restriction. If we got the max debuffs from Pegasus Flight, -7 attack could be seen as +7 defense and res, and then -7 defense is +7 attack. Arguably better than just +7 attack and defense, however, the stat checking condition is not a guarantee. The Sacred Seal slot is one area where you can use flat stat boosters, so using Pegasus Flight actually removes one of those sources. These type of skills get more mileage on units with merges, dragonflyers, etc. In-game, try to bring speed and res field buffs and debuffs. I think this could be fun to mess around with, but the amount of users of it are already limited to start. The 2 Pegasus Flight 4 holders are Chloe and Cyrene, they could try it out. For free-to-play units, Fee and Fila are 2 modern higher speed and res units. Last new Sacred Seal part of this update is from the 81st Squad Assault. Squad A CC3 is not close counter sadly, but it grants +5 HP and +3 attack and speed in flat stats. We finished up the combinations of 3 +3 stats, and this is recycling back around to the HP +2 stat combos. Squad A CC is the same as Squad A's BS. If you like these Sacred Seal combos, now you can have 2 of them.
I am Frederick. Please command me as you see fit. Lord Crom and Lady Lissa are still young, so I must be their shield.
The young Ulyssians need their protection, so Young Frederick is here to accompany them. I really like his bag of pebbles, and this is Frederick's first ult since Summer Freddy back in year 1. He's going to go back to his axe and horse, and for stats he has 41 HP, 46 attack, 28 speed, 47 defense, and 23 res. Frederick has a defense super boon, which makes him the new highest defense cavalier in the game, topping Mavier. For free-to-play axe cavs, Freddy has the highest attack over Sylvain. These impressive stats will come at the cost of lower res and that also awkward 28 base speed. Frederick can use some extra speed with his weapon, but generally speaking, it's an uphill battle against any decently fast foe. Now, like all the kid ults, Freddy gets a unique weapon, the Heavy War Axe, 16 might, another +3 defense. Every turn, if Frederick is within 2 spaces of an ally, grant +6 attack and defense field buffs, the bonus Delver status, and a status to prevent a follow-up attack to Frederick for 1 turn. Frederick grants these same buffs to a support partner if they're within 2 spaces at the start of the turn. If Freddy has no support partner on the team, he's going to give these buffs to the highest defense ally within 2 spaces. When initiating combat or within 2 spaces of an ally, you grant +5 total stats and a free follow-up. Frederick deals true damage on hit equal to 20% defense, and he reduces damage from all attacks by 30% in combat. Alright, so first off, Frederick can support his lieges if you partner them up with ally support. Like Brave Soren and others, if no support is on the team, Freddy just buffs the highest defense ally nearby. This means he can buff in defensive AI unit, and he will buff multiple allies if they have the same highest defense. For the actual effects, Frederick grants +6 attack and defense, which is doubled by bonus doubler, and he gives a fall denial status. More stat stacking, and you gotta make sure those fast enemies bring no follow-up. First personal combat, Frederick can combo this with his free fall for Omni Breaker. He isn't blazing fast, but he at least gets +5 speed. If he is faster than the tanks, he can cancel out one fall denial and still double. You also got bonus doubler if you can find speed field boss. For other effects, more true damage scaling off very high defense. Frederick is going to start with 50 flat defense, and with his buffs, this adds up to 67 defense total. 20% of that is already 13 extra damage. Frederick will be even tankier against physical threats with 30% DR for all hits. That could maybe save him against a mage too. Overall, Heavy War Axe is fairly straightforward and solid. Freddy has support capabilities mainly for one other ally. He has crazy amount of defense, a good bit of damage, and Omni Breaker plus %DR. With bonus doubler, he benefits from speed and res field buffs, but as a cavalier, you can't run the actual bonus doubler skills. Still, very fun weapon. I think it provides a lot of build options. If you want to use Freddy, you will lose out on his fodder. For skills, Bonfire and Close Guard are fine classics. Close Guard adds +4 defense res for allies if they fight melee foes. Frederick then gets the first free-to-play source of Attack and Defense Clash 3. We were just talking about the Sacred Seal, and it's now available on a free-to-play unit in the A slot. Clash 3 is super solid. You don't get the debuff neutralization part, but a +6 to +8 buffing option that only requires your foe to move is very nice. This will bump our boy past 70 defense just with 2 skills alone. Good lord. If you plan to merge Frederick, he gets +1 HP and attack and defense for the neutral nature. If you want to go all in or hit big funny numbers, then you can take that defense super boon. For some free-to-play X-Cavalier comparisons, Young Frederick is pretty much unique stat-wise. We got a couple high defense options with Grim Zealot and Wallheart. I still think Wallheart refines pretty neat with that flash status. With max Dragon Flyers, Frederick is still the clear highest attack and defense unit. His HP and res will fall a little bit behind, and while he isn't very fast, his unique weapon at least gets a follow-up built in, and can work with some bonus speed. If you want higher speed axe counts, the 4 other options here all hit around 40 speed. Somerset is the most recent addition if you don't want to spend Dragon Flowers. For the 3 to 4 star demotes, Sylvain had the highest attack, but Frederick has surpassed him. For other high defense counts, Violent and Lex are up there with higher HP. Lex has a neat Brave Axe, but I think he's still a bit away from Arrow 5. For max investment, Old Freddy honestly has a similar spread to his Young Alt, but boy does getting old suck. The lower BST has to be weighing up with a Resplendent Alpha one day, but he won't be as specialized in attack and defense. Now, Young Frederick does hold a niche with those stats, although it's been a while since we've gotten free-to-play axe counts. We had a lot introduced a couple years ago, but it's been slowed down. For the moment, Young Frederick will be the only Gen 8 option. Let's now talk about Young Frederick's general game plan. He is a high attack and defense X-Cav that wants to start the turn near his team. Freddy will gain +6 attack and defense field boss, bonus doubler, and a fall denial. His weapon has a free fall, so you get Omni Breaker, and Frederick gets extra stats with true damage scaling off his massive defense stat. Frederick then gets 30% TR for all hits, so physical damage dealers are going to have their work cut out. He isn't going to be super fast, but some bonus speed can help Frederick use Omni Breaker to cancel out the enemy's follow-up denial effects. With his base stack and defense Clash 3, we can stack that with the Sacred Seal version. For B skills, Guard is always good to have, but since his weapon has no HP conditions, you could also try Desperation for later fights. If you want to trigger Bonfire in one round when initiating, you will need Heavy Blade or drop down to a 2 cooldown special. For the other parts of Heavy War Axe, Frederick gives his support partner or the highest defense ally the same attack defense field boss, bonus doubler, and a follow-up denial status. If you want to fully buff Freddy and his ally, you can use Speed and Res Link. There is a Speed and Res gap, but since Heavy War Axe targets the highest defense ally, this probably has to go to a high speed plus res support partner. A more direct method is just a rally assist. Now, another way to get Speed and Res field buffs for the team is just Hones or Tactics in both the C slot and Sacred Seal. You can also opt for in-combat buffs like Close Guard. Now, in terms of self-buffs, there is a Rouse Speed and Res, but it's not free-to-play accessible. Using premium skills for a support build, you can run Rally plus Ruse. More stat advantages, long range guard. For a general all-around build though, we can keep our Clash skills, hopefully upgrade to the tier 4, and add Low on the B slot. Clash 4 neutralizes debuffs on Frederick, Low neutralizes boss on the foe. Since Frederick needs to start every turn near his allies, I would suggest having Kanto to reposition. With Clash and Low, you can opt for Alarm C skills. That can also get Freddy self buffs, but there is no Alarm Speed and Res yet. Just gotta wait. If you want a free Kanto, this month's Ephemera has Speed and Defense near Trace via Tiny Tana. Coincidentally, Speed and Defense is also our first tier 4 near Trace on Spring Sylvain. Getting Kanto 2 guaranteed would be nice, and adds a little more true damage to Heavy War Axe. Another option is Flow near Trace. Like Alfred, we use offense in a follow-up to cancel out the foe's follow-up denial. Even if Frederick gets outsped, he will double. Now, speaking of speed, if you want to try and go fast, Potent 4 is an option. Freddy at least gets +5 speed from his weapon with bonus doubler. You probably need to go full speed, and you won't naturally outspeed everyone, but Potent 4 only needs Frederick to be within 20 speed of the enemy. If you can do that, the Potent follow-up can still deal 80% damage, or you're going to get that third weaker hit. Another benefit of Potent is that it gives an always active 30% damage reduction. You stack that with Heavy War Axe for about 50% DR on all hits. Frederick has so much innate defense, he should be okay not stacking more. While Insight gives the most speed potential, it's at best 3 extra speed over Alarm. I do think Alarm's Kanto is a bit more valuable. For other skills, Frederick has other %DRB skills like Guard 4 or Brash 4 to stack follow-ups. Gambit 4 is an option, but you're going to need to run a higher cooldown special. Going back to Potent, you get 30% DR and can run a 2 cooldown special there. Instead of the extra true damage from Gambit, you can potentially get another follow-up. While Frederick has a lot of good base effects, he lacks cooldown and DR piercing, and Cavs lack skills for those effects. If you want to run no quarter, for example, you still need a cooldown perk for initiating, and Heavy Blade's your one option. Of course, if you got Rally Spectrum, that could help a lot. Some other fun skills to mention: Heavy War Axe gives 2 statuses for Prime 4. Panic Smoke 4 can be dirty since you have bonus doubler and foe penalty doubler. Guard Echo is a pretty nice attune skill if Deathblow Echo isn't fancy enough for you. If the foe doesn't have DR piercing, a deflex seal could also keep Freddy alive. This Tempest Trials is a bit of a mixed bag. 2 niche Sacred Seals, although you don't need to upgrade Goat Beast at least. Pegasus Flight 3 is interesting and not a bad seal when it works, it's just getting it to work, and the number of units who can viably run it are not exactly aplenty. As for Young Frederick, we got a new highest defense Axe Cav in the game, and he further stacks defense. His attack is good, he has true damage, and Omnibreaker is great for general gameplay. Frederick will sacrifice res, but he at least has some % damage reduction and bonus doubler, can help if you bring res buffs. There is some potential for speed builds as well. Having attack and defense clash out of the gate is really nice, and if you don't use Frederick, then it's a super strong budget A skill, not to mention a free-to-play way to upgrade to the tier 4. As usual, whenever we get an interesting heroic grow unit gameplay-wise, they generally have a neat fodder skill to make you decide between merges or skill inheritance. All in all, if you want a fun Axe Cavalry project, then Frederick should be solid. He can work with a decent amount of skills and provides a support at least for one ally generally. If you want to stack bonus doubler with those new A skills, then he's a free-to-play pick instead of, say, Legendary Eddiewood or Isadora. If you wanted to mess around with Axe of Devotion plus his instant damage, then its stats scale with flat defense and does defense checks, so you know he's kind of a great pick for that. As a Cav, he can also run Flared Strike if you want to add to that madness. Alright, that's all I got for this video. The OG Frederick with a Brave Axe was one of my first 5-star investments back when getting 20,000 feathers was a huge deal. We've come a long way since then. Thank you for watching. Next up, we'll be talking about this month's Ephemera Common Manuals, some very spicy skills to grab. See you there.